Have you ever had a moment where your mind just wouldn't stop? Where one thought turned into another, and before you knew it, you were drowning in a world that only existed inside your head? I have. And if you're anything like me, you've probably done this more times than you can count. Maybe it started small. Your partner didn't text back for a few hours. They seemed a little distant this week. You caught a strange look on their face when they glanced at their phone. And suddenly, without meaning to, your mind began to spin. Are they losing interest? Is something wrong with me? Am I not attractive anymore? Did I do something wrong? At first, it's just a thought, but then the thought becomes a conversation. A silent, painful conversation in your own mind, one you never meant to start but suddenly can't seem to stop. And the worst part? None of it is real. But it feels real. That's how our minds work. They take a single flicker of doubt and turn it into a fire. I've lived in that fire for years, but I want to tell you something I wish someone had told me sooner. Something that changed everything for me. Something that, if you let it, might just be the beginning of your freedom too. The secret to life. The real true secret. Is this: you are not your thoughts, you are the one who sees them. That sounds simple, too simple maybe, but it's everything. Because the moment you start believing every thought that passes through your mind is the moment you give away your peace. Let me explain. Most human suffering doesn't come from the world itself. It comes from what we tell ourselves about the world. A partner pulls away slightly, and we assume they're done loving us. A friend forgets to call, and we feel abandoned. A stranger gives us a look, and we think we must have done something wrong. Our pain doesn't come from the event. It comes from the story, and the story lives in our thoughts. That's the trap. But there is a way out, a quiet, powerful way. You don't have to stop thinking. You just have to stop believing everything you think. Let me share something I learned through meditation. And no, I'm not talking about sitting cross-legged on a mountain. I'm talking about something more real, more useful, something that saved me. I learned to observe my thoughts instead of reacting to them. At first, it was hard. When a thought came, especially a painful one, I would chase it, argue with it, try to fix it. But slowly, I began to just watch, like clouds drifting across the sky. I would say to myself, oh, there's a thought. Not there's the truth. Not there's who I am. Just a thought, and then I let it pass. Because I realized something life-changing. A thought is not a conclusion. It's a beginning, an invitation to explore, not to assume. Let's go back to that example. You feel your partner pulling away. Your brain gives you a thought. They're not attracted to me anymore. That thought hits hard. You feel the sting, the fear, the sadness. But if you stop there, if you accept that thought as a fact, you've built an entire reality around something that may not even be true. What if they're just stressed? What if they're overwhelmed with work or something they haven't talked about yet? What if their silence has nothing to do with you? But we rarely ask. We let the thought become truth without checking in with the actual truth. And the life we end up living, it's not reality, it's fear, it's assumption, it's fiction written by anxiety, performed in the theater of our minds. So what do? We objectify the thought. We treat it like an external object, like a phone or a book. You can see your phone, you can hold it, but you are not your phone. In the same way, a thought can be in your mind, but it isn't you. Try this. The next time you feel a rush of fear or shame or jealousy, pause. Don't act, don't assume, just say, this is a thought. And then breathe. You've already won, because awareness is everything. The moment you become the observer instead of the character, you reclaim your power. And from that place, you can speak with honesty, not fear. You can say, hey, I've noticed you seem a bit distant. I don't want to make up stories in my head. Can we talk about how we're feeling? That's not weakness, that's wisdom, that's courage, and that more than anything is love. You see, when we stop reacting to our thoughts, we open the door to reality, to actual connection, to truth. So many of us are trapped in silent suffering, not because life is cruel, but because our thoughts are unexamined. We live inside stories instead of in the world. We assume instead of ask. We conclude instead of explore. But life begins where assumption ends. I know this sounds gentle, and it is, but don't confuse gentle with small. This one practice of witnessing your thoughts can change everything. It can change your relationships, your confidence, your mental health, your peace. It can pull you out of imaginary pain and bring you back to the real present moment where healing happens. And it starts with a pause, with breath, with noticing. We can't control the thoughts that come into our minds, but we can control what we do with them. We can learn to wait, to question, to check in with reality instead of giving in to fear. And when we do, we live lighter, we love better, we suffer less, not because life is perfect, but because our perception becomes clear. Our heart stays open, and our mind becomes a place of kindness, not chaos. So if today you find yourself lost in thought, if you're believing something painful without proof, if you feel overwhelmed by a story your mind is writing, please remember this: you are not your thoughts, you are the awareness behind them. And you don't have to believe everything that appears in your mind. You can take a breath, step back, and live in reality, not in fear. Because the secret to life isn't found in overthinking or in certainty, it's found in curiosity, in presence, in choosing every moment to return to what is true, not just what is imagined. And that's when life becomes beautiful again. Not because everything is perfect, but because you are finally free.